Hi, this is Benjamin Jaffe with Eskew Law. A question that we get, and it's probably just a question that's out there for people, is what is the role of a defense attorney, a criminal defense attorney? There's kind of two different answers to that, and they really apply to where your focus is. And the two different things I need to talk about are what is the role of a criminal defense attorney to the client, and what is their role in the case, I guess, to the state. And so essentially your role as a criminal defense attorney to the client is to advise the client and to, I guess, discuss with the client and make sure they understand what's going on. And so you give advice, but you also inform the client. Those are really the most important things you can do. Now, in talking about that, someone that's charged with a crime needs to know, number one, what they're charged with, number two, why they're charged, number three, what the evidence is against them. But they also need to know how to understand that evidence and how to appreciate how that evidence might play out in court, or why it's important as to what's being presented. It's probably the number one reason you need an experienced defense attorney to really explain that, because they know kind of a lot of the variables that might come into play. And so again, your job is to advise your client of what the evidence is, to analyze that evidence, and advise your clients as to what it might mean in their particular case. That often might mean developing ways to challenge that evidence, discussing that with your client. But it's basically to advise your client so those decisions can be made and those discussions can take place. In terms of giving advice, one of the things that people don't understand a lot of times is there are certain choices that cannot be made by your attorney. The choice as to whether or not to proceed to trial or resolve your case with a plea is totally up to the client, the defendant. You make that choice. Your attorney cannot make that choice for you. So your attorney can't plead you guilty. That is a choice you have to make. Your attorney has to advise you of why it might be wise to proceed to trial or consider a plea. So those are some of the things in terms of advice where it becomes important to talk to your attorney, because I have advised my client why a plea might make sense. I've also advised my client why it might make sense to turn down a plea and what we can work with. And so advise, inform, very important there. In terms of the state side or the case side, your job as an attorney is really to hold the state accountable, to hold them to a high standard. And so when what I'm thinking of as a defense attorney with the state is, I want to make sure they're doing things the right way. Are they following the proper procedures? Are they handing over the evidence they need to? Are they giving us access to what they're supposed to give us? Those are the things that I have to be thinking of. I guess that kind of spills over to the court as well. The court sort of keeps an eye on things and schedules things and oversees what might happen. The court doesn't necessarily make a lot of decisions about how things are going to go or how the case is going to be resolved. They're just trying to keep people on track. But there are things the court can do that you need to be aware of as a defense attorney, and you need to hold the court accountable. If they are making rulings that are, I guess you disagree with, you need to be able to make a record. You need to be able to make the appropriate challenges, things along those lines. So you have a role to your client to inform and advise them. You have a role that you play with the prosecutor to really hold their feet to the fire, hold them accountable to be doing things the right way. And ultimately, if it goes to trial or sentencing or something, your job as a defense attorney is to advocate for your client, to present an argument and or information that allows people to see the point of view that you need them to see, whether that's trying to demonstrate that the state's case is not as strong as they're presenting it as, or there's challenges to that, or if it's just what is the appropriate sentence or what's the appropriate outcome, what's the appropriate bond maybe. There are all kinds of times that you might need to advocate for your client. So there are a lot of different ways that you're trying to help your client. And it can take different forms depending on who you're talking to. But I guess that's the big summary. You're trying to help your client. So your basic role is help your client. There are just a lot of different ways that you can do that and things that you need to be focused on at different times in doing that. So it's a big process, but essentially your attorney's there to help you through the case and make sure you know what you're doing. One of the analogies I use is if you're about to cross the street but you're blindfolded, you need someone to tell you what that traffic is looking like and whether it's a good time to go or a good time to wait. And your attorney has to be that person, and they have to be straight with you about what it all looks like. And sometimes, it might be a situation like, hey, maybe we need to not cross the street and just wait, or maybe we need to fold and go a different direction or something along those lines. So again, we're here to help you. We're here to help you through the case, but that takes a lot of different forms. Thank you.